Welcome to the Come Like a Child podcast with your host, Ashley Miner. And I am so excited you are joining me on today's episode. You guys, you are in for a treat. I have the Zion Montgomery here with me, and what a conversation it will be. Zion, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. I'm a big Ashley fan, personally.
Man,
I'm
I'm a big Zion fan, Avery fan. Like, you guys.
family.
You should be jealous if you don't know this woman, honestly. Like they're incredible people. Zion, before we dive in, tell the people who you are, what you get to do, all the things, whatever you want to share.
The most important part about me is I am a wife to my husband Avery. We'll be married 9 years this year. We have three miracle babies. They are a whole testimony, and they be testing my patience, but I love them so much. I am a marriage and family therapist. I run a private practice. We just passed a year. It's about a year and a half now that I've been doing that. Love working with couples and families, but individuals too. And then my husband and I, we've been pastors at our church for almost 9 years. So we started marriage and ministry at the same time. He was doing student ministry, and now he's helping to run our university. I've done pastoral care, women, kind of a little bit of everything. So we are here.
Y'all, just wisdom. And young, still in our 20s.
Whoa, I just turned 30, okay, this year.
No.
I know.
Okay.
Give me
Well,
my
just turned 30 this year. I'm telling you, when I first met you, not because you look older than your age, but because of your wisdom. I am not kidding. I was like, there is no way. I probably met you, yeah, when you were 25. And I was like, this girl, she's got to be like 34. Like wisdom,
wow,
wisdom.
I received that. Thank you, my friend.
Yes. So yes, thank you for coming on the podcast. So before we dive into the episode, I always like to ask any guest who comes on. The name of the podcast is "Come Like a Child." It references Matthew 18:3. If you do not turn and come like little children, you will not inherit the kingdom of God. What is one or many of your favorite childhood memories?
That's a good question. Hmm. Uh this is weird. Okay, so I my parents are immigrants, and so we did not have a lot of money growing up. I grew up in Brooklyn in this little teeny tiny apartment. It was me, my mom, my uncle, and her mom living all together in this little two-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. And I apparently had an aversion to clothes, so I was just in my drawers all the time. And my mom, for my birthday, we obviously it was tiny, so she bought me this teeny like blow up pool, and I treated it like a trampoline, and I lived my best life just like watching TV and jumping in this like little blow up pool, and it was just so humble, and it was just so much joy. Like, oh,
Wow, come on, a kid's imagination.
right.
Gosh, at some point, I feel like it gets stripped of us as we grow, and boy, it's so beautiful. Like,
But it
if
doesn't
you
have
can,
to,
it
you know,
doesn't have to.
and
That's
it's
why we
not
have you on the podcast. You're gonna bring us back.
pretty.
Y'all heard us. Okay, Zion, you've been doing this for a while. You just share with us that you have your own practice. And on today's episode, we're gonna talk about one of my favorite things in life currently, attachment styles. I learned about attachments for the first time last year, right after I turned 30. Hit me like a can of bricks, left me in my room weeping because I had no idea. I had no idea. And so I have shot messages to friends, married couples who had never heard about it either, and just the healing journey they've been on in their relationships with family members, their spouses, coworkers. It changes the trajectory of your life. And so I asked Diane to come on and just help us to talk about the different attachment styles, and then we'll end the episode just Zion's wisdom on how we can heal and how do we don't have to stay in this insecure attachment, and why it's important as believers, especially for us to be securely attached to God. And so, Zion, let's just start off by talking about each attachment. We'll go with secure last.
Okay.
Let's start with the anxious attachment.
Okay, anxious attachment style. So let me give there are four. There are
Okay.
4 attachment styles. One is secure, the other 3 are insecure. So, yes, one of them is anxiously attached. So, the anxiously attached person, I like to start with childhood, like how we even formed this attachment style. So typically, this person from an early age had caregivers. It was unpredictable whether or not they would be emotionally available. So sometimes they would be, and sometimes they wouldn't be. So this person learned how to read and assess another person's emotional state and then approach or not based off of how available that person seemed to be. So they kind of early on learned I have to earn closeness. So what this looks like in an adult paradigm is you typically, if there's distress in the relationship, we're not communicating that directly. We are ruminating. We're like, it's anxiously attached. So you're anxious, you are clinging to the person. So I'm always checking in, like, are we good, are we okay, hey, you seemed a little bit off yesterday, I just want to make sure, are we good? And it's like there's a hole in the bucket for closeness and for affirmation. um, because they have that idea of like they have to earn it. What ends up happening too is they do a lot of things for the other person, subconsciously expecting this obligates them then to do things for me. And if they don't, then typically the anxiously attached will build resentment and that will come out later. So that's anxious. Should I do avoidant now or
Yes, yes,
okay.
yes. Go to avoidant. Go to avoidant.
Okay, so the avoidantly attached, on the other hand, they learned early on that they had to fend for themselves. So this typically comes from caregivers, either them being adultified early, like the typical like stop crying before I give you something to cry about.
Mm,
Uh, they learned that they had to fend for themselves and nobody was really going to show up for them. So, and again, I also like to preface an attachment conversation by saying this is not necessarily about what happened, the facts of what happened. It's about the story you told yourself about what happened. Two
mm,
people can go through the same experience, tell themselves different stories, and develop different attachment styles. So it's the story that you internalized. But anyway, the avoidantly attached has convinced themselves that they are more than human. I can do bad all by myself. I don't need
wow.
nobody. Look, this is too much. You doing too much. You have needs. What is that? They don't receive that well, but it's actually because they dismiss their own needs within themselves. So they have numbed themselves to need. They're very intolerant of needs and closeness. And so if they sense any type of distress in the relationship, or if they feel someone is getting too close, they create space and create distance. I will say I fall more on the avoidantly attached side of things.
Really?
It's been very difficult for me to maintain meaningful relationships. Um, and it's actually kind of a miracle that my husband and I are married because I think we both fall on avoidant. And typically, avoidants don't, there's not enough
No.
glue to keep them together.
Mm-mm.
So
But
they
they
don't.
lean more toward they're more attracted to an anxious person.
Exactly. Exactly. That's how you know God was in it. Hallelujah. Um, but yes, so that's the avoidant. Yeah, and like you said, we call it the anxious avoidant trap because they almost always find each other. Because the for the avoidant, the anxiously attached person, first of all, will pursue the relationship and keep it going all by themselves. I really don't have to do much. You gonna keep this thing going. But it also confirms the narrative. So I like to tell people your nervous system is not designed to keep you good or make you good. Your nervous system is designed to keep you the same, to keep you
Mm.
familiar. So even positive change is distressing to your nervous system. So
Wow.
when you're pursuing a relationship, subconsciously your nervous system is like, this is everything I've ever known. That's my person. And there we go.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Well, let me also, because now I have a question for you. I don't mean to turn this on the podcast host.
No, I love it. I love it. Go wherever you need to go.
Bless God. So I do like to also mention the disorganized attachment style. It is not as common, but for somebody who's listening who just heard those descriptions and say, man, I feel like I fall into both, that would be the disorganized attachment style. Disorganized comes from people who have endured some sort of trauma So the source of their comfort was also the source of their fear. So if you had an abusive parent or an alcoholic parent or something like that, it creates this push pull dynamic. Like we say, like the "I hate you, don't leave me" dynamic. And it can be extremely distressing to live in that. It's like the goalpost keeps moving. So, and maybe you've been in a relationship with someone where it's like, well, if you just do this, then I'll be happy. And then you do that thing, and they're like, well, no, 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 no. If you just do this, then I'll be happy. It's like the goalpost keeps moving. It feels like there's there's no actually satisfying that person, but it's because they are so unfamiliar with peace and they're so unfamiliar with love. They've familiarized themselves with the chaos of it all. um, so anyway, my question for you, my friend, tell me why, when you discovered attachment, like what about it blew your mind? Why was it so impactful for you?
So I lean more toward anxious. And I also want to say, as believers, words are powerful. And I never enjoy saying I am if
Hmm.
it's something that Christ did not speak over me or create me to be. And so I always like to say, because there are some people who are like, I will never take a test. I will not do this. I'm not that. And I get it. I understand. And so I like to say I lean toward. And so if that helps you, I lean toward an anxious attachment. I am the youngest of five, and I grew up in a single parent household. My mom worked a lot. We grew up on government assistance in the projects. Just we saw it all, heard it all, did it all. And last year I was on a dating app looking for my man's girl.
Period.
Was straight up love bomb is what I like titled it.
Yeah.
Reached out to a friend. I was connecting, catching up with a friend from college, and I was telling her the story. She's also walking in singleness. And I was like, man, it was just so weird. Like, we talked for 2 weeks. We had long conversations, 4 hours, the anxious. And I was just telling her, like, I never experienced it. My entire time of like doing online dating, I had never experienced anything like this. And I was so confused. I was upset, I was kind of angry, I was bitter, I was frustrated. And she sent me an Instagram post that this lady, she talks about, she's probably a psychologist as well, and her whole page is around the attachment styles. And my friend sent me a post that said, how to know if you're dating a dismissive avoidant. Zion, slide one was this guy. Slide two was this guy. Three, four, five said, I'm going to just call him Timothy. It was Timothy. Zion, I clicked off that post, looked at another post on her page, and it said, how to know if you are anxious attached. Slide one said Ashley. Slide two said Ashley. Slide three, four, five, six said Ashley. And then I clicked off that post and I saw another post and it said anxious, attached, and dismissive typically attracts one another. Here's why. And it said Timothy, Ashley, Timothy, Ashley, Timothy, Ashley. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I literally just went on a deep dive. I was like, I am insecure. I know that I was not created this way. How did I get this way? I went on a deep dive, listened to just about every podcast out there, read every book, still reading books. And the Lord showed me my childhood. He showed me where this anxious attach stemmed from. And I just remember going in my office weeping. It was both liberating and hard because when I learned that words, affirmation can do the healing, I thought to myself, I could have grown up in the projects and still turned out to be a secure child. We didn't have to have a lot of money. We didn't have to, be in the suburbs, or it was literally words spoken over us. And I just thought about how God opens up the word for us and he spoke into existence light. He didn't he could have done something else that like would have been, oh my gosh, like wow. He used his mouth, he used words, and had my mom set me up as she was going to work to comfort me and like basically tell me, set up a routine and say, hey, like I'm going to work, it's going to be a couple hours, I'll be back. It could have regulated some emotions, I mean, I probably would have been still insecure, I don't know, but I never I knew that she was always coming back, just didn't know when. And so the anxiety as a kid, there's no cell phone, there's no TVs, there's no way to tell time. All I know is that it's dark. She's going to be back. I don't know when. And um, I just started reading up on it and I saw myself in the ancients without even taking a test. I was like, oh, I already know which one I am. And I went on this journey and I say, God, like I want to lean more towards secure. Like I want to be who you created me to be. And I also wept, Zion, because I thought about every relationship, like friendship, like guys that I was into, was like dating, if you will, that didn't work out. I am not kidding. Every one of those relationships
Mm,
ended because of an insecure attachment. Like, had both parties been healed, like in my friendship and dating, I don't know. Like, I could be married right now. I could still be friends with this person. Obviously, both people have to be willing to, do the work. But I wept because I was like, had I been secure, I would have responded differently. I wouldn't have overwhelmed them with my emotions. I would have been able to regulate. I would have been, I wouldn't have been as anxious. I didn't get a text back. Where
mhm,
are you? We've just known each other 24 hours. So yeah, it was a lot. It was a
mhm.
lot. I cried a lot. I rejoiced a lot. It's heavy, it's weighty, but it's been a great journey.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the encouragement, is it's not a box you live in.
Mhm.
Your attachment style is your, if you have a default reaction, but it can be healed. I think that's the biggest thing about attachment styles. It's like you just, well, we'll probably get into how to heal attachment styles, but the goal is you can earn secure attachment. You can
Mhm.
rewire your nervous system for security, and just knowing it, like you said, liberation. It's I don't have to stay this way forever, and I can pick partners that are better for me. I can pick friends that are better for me.
Right, right. So I'm reading this book called The Emmanuel Promise by Summer Joy Gross. It's so great. She's a believer and I love how she writes because she is a believer. I've read a lot of things about attachment and it's not necessarily pointed toward Christ. It's still helpful, but I'm reading this book, and one thing that she says is secure attachment is the goodness of God in the land of the living. Humans were wired to be needy. It was a part of our creation. If we were never hungry, we would not search for food. If we did not need love, we would not move toward each other. And I never thought about we were created to be needy. Speaking to that, like what does that mean to you? Like how is neediness healthy? Because for so many people, even myself, I'm like, so a person becomes too needy, like I'm cutting them off. And they're showing and expressing like this community that God designed us to be in. Like
Mhm,
there is
100%.
there is this need.
Well, for me as an avoidant, I cringe.
Okay, listen, my
So,
friend. Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna tell you a story later. I'm gonna tell you a story later. Go ahead. Why are
well,
we needy? Why is it good to be needy?
it is good to be needy. And because, dismissive avoidant, we tend to dismiss our needs. I don't like that. In fact, I had the thought the other morning as I was brushing my teeth. I'm like, I have to do this twice a day. Why am I so needy? What you mean I gotta eat 3 times a day? This is too much maintenance. Can't you just be okay? Like, be fine. Anyway, whatever, my soapbox. It is true though. The two extremes, the dismissive avoidant dismisses all needs, has very, because for the dismissive avoidant, to be needy is to be vulnerable, and I have no time for that. That means I am weak. That means that I have to rely on someone else. And remember, my core narrative is you can't. So it's completely devastating to the way I live life if I'm dismissive avoidant. However, on the anxious side, the lack of self-esteem that tends to come with an anxious attachment style is I cannot meet them on my own and I need someone else to do it, period. So the goal is I am primary caretaker of myself. I have a responsibility to steward my own experience, and I cannot fully do that on my own. I wasn't designed to. So it's a balance between the two. I absolutely agree with that quote, and I think that's beautiful. If God Himself is in community, then we are called to be as well. There is glory in intimacy, true intimacy. I will also say this: there's something called the dependency paradox. It is the cornerstone of attachment theory. The dependency paradox says the more effectively dependent we are, the more independent we can become. So you look at the kid on the playground, and I don't mean to nerd out, but all of this attachment theory comes from what we call the strange situation in psychology. Um, the researchers put kids in the room with a stranger. Mom was there at first. She left. She didn't say anything to the kid. She left. The kid was left alone with whoever the stranger was for a while, and then mom came back. Securely attached kids, when mom came back, went to mom, hugged her, then went back to playing. Anxiously attached kids saw mom come in the room and they couldn't be consoled. They were just clinging to mom and crying and freaking out and just like, and even though mom was still there, they were not soothed. The avoidantly
Mm.
attached kid, when mom came back, almost like resisted her presence. Oh, you left me. So
Mhm.
you're not getting any of my attention. You could tell that they noticed she was there, but they refused to give her any time of day. The kid on the playground is the same thing. A kid goes out, he's in risk. He goes to play. Play is risky, whatever. He falls, scrapes his knee. Securely attached kid is going to run back to mom to be soothed, and then he's going to go back and play
Mhm.
because he can effectively depend on her, so he is
Mhm.
independent. That is what we're called to be. The Lord is our secure base.
Mhm.
As long as we're in this life, we are not in necessarily perpetual glory, as we will be in heaven.
Mhm.
But I turn to him every day, hopefully every hour, and I come to depend so that I can go back in this world and risk and do what I'm supposed to do and risk being vulnerable with other people and put myself out there and maybe suffer like Christ did. And then I
Mhm.
come back to depend on him. The more I can do that, the more I can be independent, the more I can go out and risk. But if I can't do that, if I'm either in the position where I know where to go to be soothed, but I'm inconsolable because there's a hole in my bucket and I don't know what it means to actually receive comfort, like the anxiously attached, then I'm not risking it. I have to hang on to you for dear, I can never leave.
Mhm.
And we know Christians like that, if we're being honest. Or on the other hand, I never go to the source.
Mm.
I never go for what you can give me, the strength and the comfort you can offer me. Therefore, I'm limited in how much resource I have to be independent and to risk. So it even shows up in our prayer life. You can look at your prayer life. An anxiously attached person tends to come with a lot of needs or
Mhm.
all the right words, all the Christianese, all the scriptures,
Mhm.
never actually receiving anything. The
Mhm.
avoidantly attached, probably you don't pray. Or if you pray, it tends to be Our Father which art in heaven, kingdom come, blah, 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 blah. We just recite the thing. But the securely attached person, I think about a quote from Mother Teresa, and an interviewer was asking her, um, what do your prayers sound like? And Mother Teresa said, I'm usually listening. And the interviewer said, well, what is God saying? And she said, God's usually listening too.
Wow. Wow.
Just the intimacy, just like
The
I'm here in
intimacy.
your presence. We
Being
need
with
like
him.
comfortable silence. That's a
Mhm.
securely attached person's prayer.
Wow. Wow. So speaking, you have all these three different attachment or insecure attachments. First off, the fearful avoidant or the disorganized, as they call those people. I weep for them. I that I don't know. Like when I read about it, I just weep for that kid. I weep for that person. They had a rough
Mhm.
upbringing. And I did too, but like something about the disorganized, man, it makes me weep. But like you said, there's hope. But talk about how if you grow up in this insecure home, if you feel like you lean toward one of the insecure attachments and you are a believer and you're trying to view God in a way in which he says he is who he is. He is our father. we are his beloved. Like, how do you lay aside the insecure to then see the father for who he is? Because if you grew up with the abusive dad, the inconsistent mom, and now you're trying to believe that God is omnipresent, that he's always near, that he's for you, not against you, but the parenting that you witness and experience your entire life was everything opposite of who God said he is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What would you say to that person?
Yeah. Well, I like to say you can't use left brain solutions for right brain problems. What I
Mm,
mean by that is your left brain is all of your like logic and thinking. Your right brain is all your experience. I can't talk myself out of a faulty nervous system. I can know all the right things, but if I'm not experiencing it, I will not change. And
mm,
that's the beauty of our faith is it's not a head knowledge faith. Now we all have Bibles in our living room. That wasn't always the case. For the majority of the Christian faith, it wasn't get up and do 20 minutes of your quiet time. It was the sheep will know my voice. That was the faith. So, one of the things, if you have an insecure attachment style, you tend not to completely show up to the table. You have defenses. So, and that applies to your relationship with the Lord. If that's applying in your relationship with people, it's applying in your relationship with God. You don't have one brain for people and one brain for God. So I have clients all the time that are like, yeah, I suffer in my relationship, so me and God are good. That's not how that works, honey. I'm sorry. So one of the things, the only way to really heal a insecure attachment style is to be loved securely. So in your relationship with the Lord, number one would be showing up completely to the table. So if that starts with what I like to do, this is a really practical exercise, but I think it's helpful. I set a timer on my phone for 60 seconds. And for that 60 seconds, I'm in silence and I breathe and I am listening for God and I'm listening to my soul. When you start to attempt silence, chaos will ensue. That's how it goes. So once that happens, my 60 seconds is up. I take one of those voices. I just isolate one. It's like I take a firefly and I put it in a jar.
mhm,
And then I bring that jar to the Lord. And I allow the Lord to have a conversation with that part. So let's say that's a really anxious part of me. I'll take this morning, for example, I have a couple and they're just really struggling. The wife knows God, the husband does not. Um, and he's really traumatized. He's a war vet. He's got a lot going on. And I was meeting with him one on one. So I was like, it was my 8 a.m. First thing in the morning. I'm like, oh my God. Lord, I isolate this voice. This is gonna go terribly. He's already anti this whole process. And I allow God to speak to that voice. I go ahead of you. There is no
mm,
place you go that I am not there with you. You are not his savior. I am. Moment by moment, you stick by me. And I allow that voice to be soothed. Then I re enter the chaos and I isolate another voice, and so on and so forth. That's a practical way to just show up in prayer with the Lord. Now, what's going to be probably more difficult is when you have to do that with people.
mm,
So, and there's no other way. I would love to say that you could heal your insecure attachment style with just being with the Lord.
mhm,
He didn't set it up that way.
mhm,
He didn't set it up for it to be that. There's another Teresa I'm quoting today, but one of my favorite quotes, Teresa de Avila, and she says, "Christ has no hands now on earth but yours. No hands
mm.
here on earth but yours."
Wow.
So if you want to love securely, you have to interact with the hands and feet of Jesus, and that's other believers. You have to know what securely attached people look like. And unfortunately, that comes with trial and error. Securely attached people tend to be shock absorbers.
Mm,
So when you, avoidantly attached in the room, ghost them, they know what it means to be patient.
mm,
When you attempt to overwhelm them, anxiously attached, they know what it means to set a boundary and to be kind in that. You have to know what security looks like. Um, that's risky and that's trial and error to find that. It's
yeah.
hard, but um, Allow those people to love you. Show up to those conversations and really show up. If you have to preempt yourself with, here's what's real, and here's what's vulnerable, and here's what's hard, and here's the thing I've never told someone,
Hmm.
and force yourself to bring that to the table, obviously, after you've established some sort of relationship, do that. When someone sets a boundary with you and it hurts, and you're like, no, if you don't let me crawl in your skin, then you don't love me.
Mm.
Coaching that part of yourself.
Yeah.
You can even say, I know you set that boundary and that was so probably healthy. I'm really struggling with feeling rejected. And allow them to speak to that. No, I love you. I want you in my life. Here's the time I have to offer you. And this is what I can give right now. Is that okay with you? Yes, she doesn't hate me. It's okay. No. I've said a lot of things. I don't know if I've answered the question.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. So much. Again, just hearing you speak, honestly, communication. There
Mm.
people always say in order for a marriage to work out, like you have to communicate. A lot of this is communication because like you said, one side of your brain is telling lies or this assumption that one doesn't like me or I'm not good enough. And if you rest in that, if that's how you operate, then that's what you believe. You never walk into the truth. And so it's the whole time it's a lie. You know, it's a lie. You see it in the garden with Adam and Eve. They were secure. They were secure. They walked with him in the cool of the day, right? And then Satan came in with a lie, boom, insecure attachment. And then they
Well,
learned.
sorry, I'll just speak on
Speak into
that
it. Speak
because
into it.
it's not when you are loving from a place of self, because that's all insecure attachment is I'm guarding myself. That is not love. So what happened in the garden once it entered, I call it trauma, because what is trauma? It disrupts your relationship with God, it disrupts your relationship with yourself, it disrupts your relationship with others, and it disrupts your relationship with your environment.
Mm,
It did all of that.
yeah.
So it started with my relationship with myself. I saw I was naked. I saw
Mm,
I was vulnerable, and I wanted to guard myself from that. Even trying to guard myself from God as though he does not see. There is a scripture, and I'm going to butcher this this scripture, and I don't know the address. I will look it up and send it to you after. But it talks about being known by God.
mm-hmm,
That is relationship, to be known by God, not knowing God,
mm-hmm,
but to be known by him. That
mm,
means I undo what was done in the garden,
mm,
bear myself again before him by choice, knowing in this risk I am whole. He already knows everything. And so there's nothing I withhold from you, God. Everything is here. And that is in the ideal marriage, that's what it is. In the ideal friendship, that's what it is. Now we live in a sinful and broken world, and not everyone is safe. You have to have boundaries.
mm.
But even in that, I think people misunderstand boundaries, which I'm getting into. I'm probably rabbit trailing here, but I'll just finish the thought. Boundaries, the goal of boundaries is not to cut people off. The
Mm.
boundary, I set a boundary at the distance where I can love you and me at the same time. I set a boundary to facilitate healthy relationship between you and I. The most boundaried being in existence is God. God says, within these bounds, you can have relationship with me. I will never move the boundary, but I will do everything I can to help you be able to live within this boundary. But the
Wow.
boundary does not change.
Mm.
It's not to prevent relationship. It is to facilitate relationship.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's how I know when I am very insecure. If I cut you off, and when I cut off, I cut off. I don't know that you exist anymore, Zion. It is bad. It takes a lot for me to get there. It's not healthy.
Mm,
It's not healthy. I didn't heal at all. All I did was numb, put it to the side, and anytime that comes up or that person, it's a triggering. And it's so easy. In the dismissive, they cut off sooner. Once they're
Oh,
done, they're done.
well, it's unfortunately with the avoidant, dismissive avoidant, it's almost like the relationship is over before it starts because I
Jeez.
don't want closeness.
Yeah.
Closeness terrifies me. So
Mm.
we can have a cute, like shallow relationship. Or if you're finally over me, that's when I'm attracted to you. It's toxic. It's not good. It's
Ah,
not
it was
good.
over before it started. You were never really fully present.
No, never showed up. I put my best foot forward. You gonna fall in love with me. Because that's the thing about dismissive avoidance. We confident. We are confident.
So how can the ancients not see that you were never fully there?
Well, part of it is going to be when issues arise in the relationship.
Mm.
So the thing about the anxiously attached, let's say if we're in a dating relationship,
Mhm.
um, typically, and you could probably speak to this better, but typically the anxiously attached is coming in with more of a how do I present in such a way that they want to connect? Like I said, always assessing the other person, analyzing the responses, where are they at, how's the day, da da da. Let me check in first.
Mm.
When if the anxiously attached person can get to real quicker, you'll be able to weed it out. Because
Okay.
when I get real and hey, this bothered me, I didn't really love when you did that or when you said that or you didn't
Mhm.
respond for 2 days, didn't appreciate that. Some communication would have been helpful.
Okay.
A securely attached person is going to say, I am so sorry. That was never my intention at all. I,
Mhm.
I never want to hurt you. I commit to doing better.
Mm.
The avoidantly attached, if they can do that, they can't keep it up for long. It's going to be like, you, what do you mean you have a need? What do you mean you expect communication? They even if they say the right words, the actions typically can't back it up because
Mm.
you just shared so vulnerably. You're sharing your heart. Even that is like, okay, we're getting a little too close now.
Mm.
Um, so I always say like time will tell. Um, typically my anxiously attached folks are the ones to fall in love fast,
Mhm.
or they confuse passion with love or drama with love. So if there's
Ooh.
a lot of back and forth and like, "Oh, but he didn't text me back, but then he did. And then he ignored me for a week, but he brought me flowers." It's like that excitement is like, "Ooh, I got you. I got you." But if it's like consistent communication and I'm open with you and I share my, oh, I'm bored. I'm bored. This is boring. It should be more fire than this. And it's like, no, honey, that's peace.
That's a gear. This
Secure.
is so diabolical. Oh my gosh, Zion, because sis, I've lived that life. I'm not 100% secure, but I'm 100% aware when I'm not, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting because here's the thing: when an anxious, even if I see it immediately, I won't say anything because why I'm afraid that they're going to leave. So I did see it at the beginning, but it took all of this corruption and like the building had to fall down for me to just walk away or for me to actually pay attention to what I saw at the beginning, but I was too anxious to say anything because I was too afraid that they were going to leave. And they were going to leave and I knew that they were going to leave, because I understand now. Yikes. Okay, Zion, you said a lot and
I'm
I
sorry.
want to talk about you talk about no 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 it was good. I again you guys I love Zion. I could do this for 2 hours. But so you talked about relationships and mentioned like if you are in this dating relationship. So how can someone tell the difference between being truly independent versus being an avoidant in their attachment? Like, if you don't know, if this is your first time hearing about insecure attachment, how do you know where you fall without maybe taking a test?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, if you are a hyper independent person, and if I were to ask you right now, where do you feel vulnerable and you can't find an answer, it's usually a good sign.
Mm.
Purely attached people embrace both the positive and negative about life and about themselves. It's just reality as it is. So the avoidantly attached person, um, we tend not to turn inward typically as much. Well, that's not fair. I think insecurely attached people in general tend not to turn inward, or we are blind to a lot of the inner world. But the avoidantly attached, we don't love our vulnerabilities. So I would ask you to look at how you talk to people. For me, it showed up as like, I'm an introvert by heart. And so I would hide behind that, but I would have like my cookie cutter responses and
Mhm.
interactions with people. So every time I go up to somebody, I still do this to this day. I'm gonna comment on your hair, or I'm gonna say, "Ooh, girl, you look cute today," or whatever. And it's like we just keep it surface level. I don't typically go, and I'm typically not curious. If I'm in my most insecure, I don't have capacity to be curious because I'm so desperately defending myself from this threat that is this other person. So, yeah, I would say you're asking what the difference, two questions. The difference between independence and avoidant would be that you know how to lay your bags down and with whom, that you are vulnerable with people in your life somehow, and you can commit to a relationship. Small groups tend to be really difficult for we dismissive avoidant folks. It's like, what you mean I'm gonna commit to seeing you every week? Every week. That's crazy. That's a lot.
I'm running to the group. All of them. I've
Exactly.
signed up for all of them and I will commit. I am there.
This is my
Faithful.
correct. I'm gonna be there early. You want me to bring snacks? What you need? I might show up 15 minutes late, and you're welcome that I'm here. It's so
See, this is crazy. I love y'all so much. I love y'all so much.
thank you.
Zion, okay, so a friend of mine, Erin, I posted a picture of the book, just highlighting. She was like, "Oh my gosh, what attachment style are you?" And I was telling her, and she said, "Zion, man, she's helping me so much right now." I said, "You won't believe I have her on a podcast tomorrow." And she said, "I can't wait to listen." And our friend Erin, she is a married woman. And so, specifically with the dismissive avoidant attachment, what does that look like in a marriage? How can we help the married? And I guess you can throw in anxious as well. Like if you're listening to this podcast and you're married and you're like, oh my gosh, no wonder we have so much friction, so many arguments.
100%. Yeah, and this is like my bread and butter because I niche with couples, and it can be extremely painful when you find yourself in this dynamic in marriage, especially as a believer, because it's there's no out for us. It's like this is what it is. So the dynamic that I typically see is, let's say something happens, and it gets worse as things build up. So I'll use one couple that I have. They've been married for, I want to say it's like 7 or 8 years now, and something small could happen, and it hurts her feelings. The wife is anxiously attached, and she can't sleep. The husband he's out, goes to bed. I'm done. She cannot sleep. She's having stomach issues all through the night. She wakes up in the morning. He's like, "Good morning. How'd you sleep?" She's like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? How did I sleep? You don't remember what you did to me?" And it'll be like, you know, he got up from the dinner table too fast and went to his room or something like that. But the thing is, it builds up over time. For the anxiously attached person, what tends to happen is, because you are always assessing and analyzing, you're not actually expecting the person to say, "Hey, honey, I hear you." You are expecting to have to earn it. So you're not directly communicating, and that builds up over time. As that builds up, you're also building up bitterness and resentment. So if you finally talk about the problem, it could be off of something this big, but you're bringing, and then 5 years ago, you da 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 da, because we're actually not processing anything at all. Unfortunately, that will trigger the avoidantly attached person who's like, "I didn't want to hear about your needs in the first place. I didn't." And now you're bringing up 5 years ago. So the avoidantly attached person at that point, I'm in the room, but I'm not. I'm looking at you, but I'm not. And you can tell I'm not, which is just triggering the anxiously attached person to push harder. If I enforce my point more, if I make it clearer, then he'll, and it's just, they're digging deeper, deeper, deeper into the hole, which can be extreme suffering. That's
Yes.
really difficult to go through and find yourself in that pattern. And so what I work with couples on is establishing, we call them rituals of connection. Um, Gottman method, I won't get into all of that, but 60, 70 years of marriage research. And they compare the masters of relationship to the disasters of relationship, and they just kind of coded what masters of relationship do. And so one of the things that masters of relationship do is they ritualize how they move through time together. They have these things that they can count on. So I work with couples on establishing language where they can call a timeout, call a Switzerland. My husband and I, he'll usually, he's the one because he's better than I am. He's more holy. But he will say, "Can we reset? We were off. We missed each other. Can we just reset?" And it's like a soothe. This person loves me. They are my partner. They are not a threat. I can depend on him. It is good to depend on him. It is holy and of the Lord. And I can kind of recenter myself to re-engage the relationship, not from a place of an insecure attachment style.
Mm.
Because that's also the thing to keep in mind. Your attachment style comes with a narrative. It comes with a story that you have come to believe is true, and that's the insidiousness of it. That you can have somebody willing to love you right in front of you, and you can't accept it because of this narrative that you've bought into. Um, but anyway, working with couples in marriage, that can be really helpful. The learning to self soothe, and both partners have to do this. The anxiously attached more externally is dysregulated, but the avoidantly attached is too. They just do it in a way that results in shutdown. So being able to self soothe, and you are the primary caretaker of yourself, you are the primary steward of how you show up in this marriage and in this relationship. Your partner didn't make you feel nothing. Mm-mm,
Come
mm-mm.
on, talk about it.
Choice. It's a choice. And so, are you going to respond to them from your most Holy Spirit led self? So, you self soothe to that place. And that includes, I self soothe to the point where I'm not holding my vulnerabilities like ammunition against you, but I'm bringing it as though you really are my teammate. Now, of course, there are exceptions to every rule in terms of like, is your partner really safe and are they doing their own work? But more often than not, if you are two believers in a marriage and you're willing, you can do this. And you can clock your own attachment system and then soothe yourself to allow yourself to be loved securely by your spouse.
Hmm. Wow. So I hear that there is healing. I hear that you don't have to stay in an insecure attachment. So how do we heal? How do we move as insecure people toward the safe insecurity?
It's practicing security and finding the places where you can be loved securely. So reach out to that friend. Like if you're thinking, who's somebody that's secure? And a face comes to mind, write it down. And then pray and ask God, who should I invest in relationship with for the time being? Who can I be honest with about this and practice this out? Because again, you do not talk yourself out of right brain problems, you practice your way out. So even having accountability partners. So like you said that you're having the attachment conversation with friends, that's huge because then before you text that one person back, you can text your friend and be like, am I operating from security? Be my mirror in this. Am I am I treating this person like they care about me, or am I just defending off rip? Or hey, I'm really tempted to cut this person off. I need you to help me balance. Or I am or if you're anxiously attached and you are by the time the anxiously attached is ready to cut people off, they've been stuffing for a long time. So your friend could say, "Did you ever have a conversation? Did you talk to them?" Having the accountability is huge. And you know what? Maybe we do this on another podcast episode,
Come
Ashley.
on.
But
I
have you
love a
heard
part two. I
of a
love a
part two?
part two.
Have you heard of internal family systems?
No.
IFS?
Speak
Oh,
to it a little bit if you can.
it'll work. It'll work. But come like a child. I'm telling you. The idea is, you've seen the movie Inside Out.
No.
That
I'm
is
not a
your,
big movie person. I know I like documentaries. That's what's wrong with
it's
my
a
brain. I need to.
documentary for yourself.
Well, okay, I'm gonna watch it today. I've
Um,
heard about it.
it's they do a good job of kind of teasing this out, but since the dawn of psychology, we have believed that we are multiple. From, you can look at that from a lot of different perspectives, but we've all said something like, a part of me feels like this and a part of me feels like this, and they are in conflict. IFS looks at that dynamic and has you form relationship, secure attachment with different parts of yourself. So one of the roles IFS says that parts take on is called the exile, which tend to be really basically inner children, and they were wounded from early on, and they developed a narrative about the world. And any maladaptive behavior that we have, like perfectionism or inner criticism or type A personality, it can be as extreme as substance use or cutting or pornography, can be attributed to protector parts within your inner system that are trying to protect that child. Um, so when we cast out our vulnerabilities and we're self-protecting, we are missing out on all the things that childlikeness could offer to our system. But we could have a fascinating conversation about IFS and attachment.
No wonder he said come like a child. But what does that mean? We'll do that on part two. Wow. Zion, is there anything else you'd like to say before we depart ways?
Hmm.
Any words of encouragement for the secure and the insecure? Any other final words?
Since we have been talking a lot about insecure attachment, I think I would love to encourage anyone who's listening who is securely attached or has earned secure attachment. My encouragement to them would be that you are such as you have a huge responsibility in the body of Christ. There is nothing that brings the kingdom of heaven to earth like loving another person securely. There is not a greater service that you can offer than loving another person securely. And you know you are going to be loving imperfect people. So keep your boundaries, of course, but stay in relationship and know you're doing right brain work when you are loving on people that way.
Wow. Wow. Zion, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, my friend.
Thank you for having me. We need a part two.
Part two coming soon, you guys. Listen, if you enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, share with a friend. We're going to have clips on my Come Like a Child podcast page. If you're not following that page, follow that page. And honestly, go sit with this. I know it's heavy, I know it's weighty, but it's good, it's convicting. And we have a loving, secure Father who created us, and He wants us to live in that secure attachment. And so, thank you. I'll see you guys back here on the next one. Bye.